Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Bob Wheeler with ClearedJobs.Net. Welcome to Military Monday for November the 13th, 2023. This being the Monday right after Veterans Day weekend. So if you're here for Military Monday, happy Veterans Day for all the folks who are with us. I want to let you know that my name is Bob Wheeler. I'm with ClearedJobs.Net. I'm a veteran myself. I've been with the company now for 9 years, and did 20 years in the Navy. But one of the things I do here as an account rep is I also do a lot of the training, and we like to bring good tips to the veteran job seekers out there. And one of the things that we really strive to do is bring good, honest, good advice, not just the cookie cutter type stuff. And we like to bring folks from the business world out there, the government contracting world out there, who are in the process of doing things, and they're the ones that are making stuff happen. So we've got two great folks from Raytheon today. I can't wait to talk to them about the stuff they've got going on. We've got Josh Echols. He's a military program manager. He's going to be with us today. And then we've also got Lisa Laventure-Bernier, and I hope I got that name right. We were trying to practice it before we came live, but she's a senior manager for strategy, and she's also mentored over 20, 25 different people in SkillBridge. So we're going to talk some SkillBridge stuff, which is great. So as these folks start to introduce themselves, if you are joining us here and you are with us on LinkedIn or anything like that, let us know who you are. Where are you at, or what service are you in, or were you in? Are you getting out soon? But yeah, drop us a comment in the comment section. And as we're talking, if you have anything else, feel free to throw some comments in there as well. So now that we've introduced me and we're learning about you out there in LinkedIn land, Josh, tell us a little about what you got going on there as a military program manager.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Just to give you, before I introduce myself, I just want to introduce Raytheon to you. Raytheon is a subunit of RTX. So when you see RTX, that is the new umbrella that Collins Aerospace, Pratt & Whitney, and Raytheon fall under. We have around 180,000 employees, over 15,000 veterans that are part of our company. So the military community really is a big part of our business model, and more than that, our culture. It really is the heartbeat that really drives our products and drives our efforts. Our goal is really to keep our warfighters safe, and being able to continue my career in that field is really rewarding for me. As we talk about transitioning, the transition journey is different for everybody. And the best advice that I can give you is don't get discouraged. My transition to Raytheon wasn't the easiest. I was a reservist for over 20 years. And as I transitioned to the civilian world, it really took me 18 months to really land with a good company. And my biggest challenge was I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And so as I encourage you, as we go through this discussion this morning, just really think about what you're doing right now, what's been successful to lead to an interview, and then I'll give you some of our advice from our perspective as from Raytheon that can help you be successful later.
Yeah, and so we learned a little bit about Josh there. He mentioned that he did a lot of time as a reservist. Towards the end of our discussion today, we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a reservist as a job seeker too. So we're going to cover the SkillBridge stuff here in a second, but we're going to come back to Josh's reserve time. But like he said, he's kind of been there, done that, and now he's there in the Raytheon RTX world, helping to guide those veterans through it to get good stuff going on. People are already kind of chiming in there, telling us that they've got some folks out there, some computer type folks are saying hello to us from out in Arizona. Let's learn a little bit more about Lisa. Lisa, you are a senior manager for strategy. So what does that mean in your world?
Good morning. Thank you. It means I am responsible for staffing, retention, hiring, the employee experience, development, and retention, and some days all things in between. And I've been at Raytheon for over 15 years. I was previously with Missiles and Defense in systems design and architecture. I was the cyber lead for the lower tier air and missile defense sensor system and a cyber lead for a team of 25 engineers. And I was also the deputy cyber lead for the Patriot missile system. So I've been around for a while. I'm very familiar with the terms, the positions, the programs, and across industry. So I plan for future programs, current staffing, And I've been able to work with Josh very closely over the past year and a half now on the military program. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some SkillBridge type stuff, and this is going to be a great conversation with we're going to involve both Lisa and Josh because they work together to do things. We're going to get into some of the SkillBridge start. You had mentioned earlier, just it was a second ago, Lisa, we were talking before we came on air, that basically, Josh kind of helps find the people, or you're finding people together, and how that works, and what you're looking for. Can you guys want to just kind of share a little bit about how the relationship works at a place like Raytheon between a military outreach person and somebody who's more involved in the strategy and hiring stuff?
Yeah. So just to give you some history. So every year we get, for the past few years, we get around 3,000 people to reach out to us and say, we want to do SkillBridge with Raytheon. And so when you look at the volume of interested candidates, it's challenging to find opportunities for that many people in our organization. And so what I've liked and what I really appreciate about Lisa, don't let her undersell her role in SkillBridge with Raytheon. She's hosted 3 times the amount of candidates than any other hiring manager has across our entire organization. She really is the champion, and she really formulated this cohort model to where we're bringing on candidates in a remote opportunity, and she trains them and lines them up to full-time roles. And, for me, it's been the most rewarding part of my job is seeing these SkillBridge candidates get great, rewarding careers with Raytheon, life-changing opportunities. And, but really my role is, Lisa has provided that opportunity to train and mentor and guide these SkillBridge candidates. And that's really what I try to build internally, is to find hiring managers and programs that will support SkillBridge internships, and then push candidates to them for them to do selections. And Lisa's really been that champion on our cyber protective services side to really help us expand and build our program.
And Lisa, you've done a lot of work with cyber folks, but I remember it's not just cyber that you work with too. It's mostly cyber, but it's also other things as well.
It is, because I get a lot of personal referrals, and I have a hard time saying no. Or if I happen to know someone that's in Florida, for example, and they want to relocate to a certain area, or if it's an employee referral, that happens too. And so I really am happy to help people. I wish I could help everybody. Like Josh said, we have over 3,000 people. And I think in 2024, just cyber folks, I have 400 people potentially down the pipe. And I really need to have a specific skill set. However, based on someone's resume, I will share their resume with a different part of the business because of their clearance or their location or the skills that they have. So I do a lot of that as well, because I have been at Raytheon for quite a while, and I know the programs and the hiring managers. So that's also been very helpful.
Yeah. So as we keep talking about this, I had one question comes in. We're talking SkillBridge stuff right now with some folks with Raytheon. We are going to talk a little bit about non-SkillBridge things towards the end of our discussion today. It's only a 30-minute discussion. So for the gentleman who asked a question about where you're going to be talking about things other than SkillBridge, the answer is yes. So just kind of hang on for a little bit while we chat with SkillBridge folks. When you talk about all these things, are SkillBridge opportunities at Raytheon, is it the kind of thing where you're putting out those postings and people are reaching out to you about specific jobs and saying like, hey Josh, hey Lisa, I want a SkillBridge for this one? Or are they reaching out to you and just kind of saying like, hey, I'm interested in this field, how can you help me? Like what's the typical way it works?
Yeah, so that strategy, it's both of those things. So, what I really encourage SkillBridge candidates to do is go look at our open job requisitions and really look at those job opportunities. Because when you join our talent community, you get an opportunity to say, this is where my skill set aligns in the locations that I want. And then what we do is we collect those candidates that apply for SkillBridge with us. And then we work with our TA teams and our recruiters to see if that hiring manager is willing to host that candidate in a SkillBridge opportunity versus hiring as a full-time role. So it's really a strategy of doing it both ways. I really encourage candidates to look at our opportunities, and then when you join our talent community, really identify, this is what I'm a skills that meets my skills and what I want to do.
So do a lot of those, do they say SkillBridge in the title or in the job description somewhere, or they don't?
No,
you just have to kind of reach out and ask about it.
Yeah, you have to reach out and ask about it. You have to join our talent community, and it's from our main careers page. But in that opportunity, in that intake form, it gives you the opportunity to identify that job requisition that you see on that's advertised as a full-time opportunity.
Yeah. And so when you say that the program manager has to host the SkillBridge, what does that mean from the program manager's perspective?
Yeah, well, so for the program manager, to give you some idea, the goal of SkillBridge is to lead to a full-time role. We don't like to bring SkillBridge candidates on that doesn't lead to a full-time opportunity. And that's why we really get that commitment from that hiring manager to host the SkillBridge intern, that they understand that this leads to a full-time role, that it's just not temporary work, that the goal is to transition them. And so that hiring manager spends 90% of their internship is spent working underneath or being mentored by that hiring manager. So it's really the hiring manager's program. And that's what we're trying to build.
So Lisa, what's it like to be, you've mentored over 25 or more now, because you're picking up more and more as you go along. What's it like on your end? What are you doing as far as that mentorship goes? What kind of things are happening?
That's a great question. I'm doing a lot of things, actually. I'm also adjunct faculty at New England College, so I take practical application of my work experience and realize the opportunity and skill set that people need on a very, I'll say, personalized basis. But I conduct mock interviews. I actually give them assignments based on where they're ultimately going. I also tailor it specific to the individual. For example, I just had someone, we're wrapping up the HOH this week, and someone was focused on his CISSP certification. That is extremely important in the cyber industry. And so that's what the focus was. In addition to preparing for an interview, I do resume reviews and provide feedback from a neutral perspective, at least, because it is, as Josh said, at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is for them to have a job. And I'm very honest with them. And I encourage people to I show people how to use LinkedIn as a resource and say, here's how I would tailor your job search in this particular geographic location. And I really want people to have a choice in what they do going forward, since they've not really had one during their time in the military. And I want to help them adjust, because it's a really stressful time adjusting, getting out of the military. There's the whole transition. A lot of people have weight on their shoulders to take care of their families, and relocating, all the VA appointments. And I've seen a lot of people in my family struggle with it and change. And so it's great to be able to streamline the process and help people help themselves and help them realize what they're capable of and their value.
And one of the things about SkillBridge, anytime that you see any company that's doing SkillBridge, they've got some kind of a commitment to the military. I mean, no company would do SkillBridge if they didn't have any idea. But I think one of the things to remember too is one of the reasons that we have Lisa here with us today is because she's like really awesome at it. As we got to know her, and especially listening to the folks from Raytheon, to include Josh, I mean, this is somebody who goes above and beyond with all of these things here. And there's a lot of people, I mean, she's not the only one out there. There's a lot of people at companies that will go the extra mile. I mean, the things that she's doing there is not necessarily required in the SkillBridge program, but when you find these folks, they can be such a great asset. And Lisa was just mentioning to us just a few minutes ago that you actually are getting people that are referring their friends to you. Is that right?
Every day. And I was, last night I had sent an email out to a few folks that I was interested in based on their resume. And as I was looking at one of those resumes, I also saw somebody that had graduated from University of New Hampshire. I'm like, hey, alumni, so nice to meet you. And I was interested in having a conversation with her about what her path is going forward. And I reach out to people, whether it's for SkillBridge or direct hire, because at the end of the day, the process takes a long time. Everyone is in a different place with regards to their timing and what their command will allow. And so I want to know if they have an opportunity, I'd let them know. If not now, in the future, keep Raytheon in mind. I've met people at an event similar to this who afterwards he had connected with me on LinkedIn and he said, I'm interested. Sure enough, I looked at his resume. I had no idea who this person was. He reached out and I'm like, oh, you're definitely qualified for this position. Try try applying for this one. And he has been at Raytheon probably over 3 years by now.
Wow.
And I had no connection to him whatsoever, other than the fact I took the time to look at his resume and see some potential opportunities. People need to have an idea of where they are willing to live. So their location is really important. Most people in the military want to go home. I get that. We did that when I was growing up as well. So the location is really important. A lot of people that I talk to want to come to work at Raytheon because of the mission, right? So I have to look at their resume, and sometimes I have to peel back the onion, if you will, and see where they really want to live. What is it that they really want to do? Some people think they want to pivot into cyber, but that's not always the best situation for them, because if they do that, they're giving up the last 15 years of experience that they have in supply chain, for example, or in procurement. So I like to make sure they just have those conversations with themselves, even at the end of the day, because that's going to be a difficult pill to swallow for some folks. And I want to make sure they're getting maximum return on investment for themselves. So that means where they should be entering with regards to their career and pay as well.
Hey, speaking of locations too, and Josh, maybe you can answer this question. I had somebody in the chat here asking about, is there such thing as a remote opportunity for SkillBridge stuff? Particularly, this gentleman, Joel, is stationed overseas right now, and so are there remote opportunities for SkillBridge, or what's that like?
There is some new guidance coming out from DoD on the restrictions for remote opportunities. So we're still working through some of those mechanics, but currently, yes, there are remote opportunities. Preferably, we like more of a hybrid model, to where we have the opportunity to do some training and remotely, but then also to get them on site and work with our teams, just so they can integrate into the culture a little bit different. But there are remote opportunities. And so if you go to our main careers page, and you go to the veterans tab, you'll see that SkillBridge interest form that they can join our talent community, and that will really start the process. But we can explore remote opportunities.
And that's just something that is as a veteran tip, where you're at when you're trying to leave the military is always a different challenge. If you're in the Northern Virginia, DC area, there's lots of jobs, lots of opportunities. If you're in Germany, or, it's tougher if you're in Okinawa, if you're in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, just different places are going to have different things, but you're going to want to do the best that you can. And even if you're in Germany now, we're going to, I make sure you connect with everybody. Hit Joel and Lisa up on LinkedIn when we're all done with this. Every time you build a network, it's going to be good. Let's pivot a little bit away from the SkillBridge for a second, though, and talk about the reserves too. Because Joel, you were in the reserves. I think a lot of times people don't give this enough thought. It doesn't get talked about as much when it comes to transitioning things. Just what are your thoughts on whether somebody's in the reserves now, or they're thinking about joining the reserves as they get out? Maybe they did 8 years and now they're going to go into the reserves. What should they be taking into consideration with all this?
Yeah, so one of the big barriers to joining our company, and the barriers to employment with a lot of defense contractors, is that security clearance. If you read the job description and it says security clearance required on day one, that's a requirement for that job. And so, one of the benefits of joining the reserves is that you get access to get your security clearance. So if you've been applying for work and you've been looking for work with a defense contractor, and you need it, and a security clearance is required, joining the reserves is a good opportunity for you to get that, to kind of close that gap for unemployment. Employment for a reservist it's a challenge, and it's overlooked in the community. When people talk about veteran hiring or military, that reservist and that National Guard member, nobody really understands that challenge of employment unless you live it.
And there's probably plenty of reservists that are at Raytheon. I mean, it sounds like, it's organizations who have reservists are probably better equipped than if you're the lone reservist at your organization, I would imagine.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of reservists that are employees with Raytheon, and we support them through their deployments, through their mobilizations. We really try to create an opportunity for them to thrive in both of their careers. The idea is to create, we've attended a lot of meetings with the chiefs of the Army Reserve, with Jody Daniels, and she really, her mindset is, rather than compete for talent, we're all competing for this talent. Let's build that talent together. And so as we move forward with how we hire, that reservist is really a vital component of our workforce strategy moving forward.
Yeah, that's great. And like I said, I was so happy when we had our little pre-intake call here with Joel and Lisa, or Josh and Lisa, I'm sorry, to know about that reserve piece, because that's the kind of thing that I think people don't talk about, and that's something that, and if you look at if you're looking on LinkedIn trying to find people, if you see folks who have that reservist piece in their bio, reach out to folks. I mean, let's talk a little bit about just, you mentioned how people reach out to you guys all the time. When somebody reaches out via LinkedIn, is there a good, you don't want to just say, hey, I'm Bob, what can you do for me? What can Raytheon do for me? Like, what's a good tip for how to make a good connection for somebody like yourself? But when someone's just, in the military trying to make a good connection for you guys, how should they introduce themselves?
The most important thing is, before you approach an employer or you approach us, really do some soul searching and really figure out where you want to live and what you want to do with your life. The most challenging thing that we have is, in our talent community this last year, we've had over 20,000 people reach out and say we're interested in a job with Raytheon. And the candidates that we can support are the ones that kind of have that figured out up front. I've applied for these requisitions, these jobs. Can you give me a status on my application? Can you give me any guidance? But if you don't do that homework up front and get prepared to actually apply for jobs and apply for requisitions, it's really challenging for us to give you some advice and some mentoring through it.
Yeah, Lisa, what do you think? Because I mean, we're sitting here, we're extolling your virtues as being one of the greatest, mentors out there. You're doing such a great job. I mean, as this thing lives on, you're going to get, we don't want you to get all kinds of too many, people hitting you up for just connections. I mean, you've only got so many minutes in your day, right? Like, how do you manage that?
Well, honestly, I tell people to tell their story. Tell it with confidence and humility. I tell people to own it and be it, do it. And what I mean by that is, for example, if they have a certification, put it after their name and put it in bold. Put their clearance at the top of their resume, for example. Make sure you meet the basic requirements for a position. And I also ask people to think outside of the box, because it is really important that we understand there's a lot of different job titles, and whether or not you're supporting the corporate infrastructure or a particular program. I want people to go into a conversation with a hiring manager with confidence and know where they've been and what they do, and help them understand what it is they're capable of doing going forward. So I do spend a lot of time, probably too much, but I feel like why wouldn't I help someone if I certainly can? So a lot of people, from what I've seen, are not necessarily comfortable telling their story, or they're a little bit shy, or this is so out of their comfort zone. I just have to help them get a little bit better at it. And so I do that. And the job careers page can be, quite honestly, overwhelming. There's, on any given day, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 jobs. So you have to really know what you're looking for. And I encourage people to start by looking in the state, what's available in the state, what interests you. And if they're really not sure, or if it looks like those jobs that they had applied for are no longer available, I tell people also to expect to be rejected. Don't get discouraged, because it happens to the best of us quite often. And just keep looking. I say that because keep checking the website. Jobs are posted every single day. Check on LinkedIn. I think it's a great search tool. And that's how we learn about what jobs are available in other cities that I'm not, familiar with, for example, because again, everyone's living in a different location. And I don't know all the companies that are everywhere, but I make sure people know to follow the big defense contractors, for example. And then literally, when you're going to the grocery store, look at what companies are around you on your way there and follow them. Every company needs cyber, and I focus on cyber, but I think those are, and it's not something that can happen in a one-time conversation either, a lot of this stuff. And then when they do interview, they get more confident with each one. And I just went on Thursday and actually had lunch with one of my current candidates who has been offered a job at Raytheon. And I was it was such a pleasure to meet her. She was so nice. And I'm just so excited. And ironically, someone that I reached out to last night is also starting in that very same location that she is. So it's a small world out there. I will give you that, but it's a great big opportunity. That's what I like to call all the job openings. It's a lot of opportunities. Let's see where you can fit into that big picture.
Yeah, I think one of the things to remember about when you're getting out is that there's a lot of people out there that really do want to help. And I mean, and both Josh and Lisa, you can see that they really care about what they're doing. They care about their company. They care about helping people out. They can only do so much. Something else that we just briefly mentioned when we were talking is whatever the process is with each organization, do it the way that they want you to do it. You know, that the way Raytheon, like she said, Raytheon's a huge organization. She doesn't know everything. If you get diverted to do something else, and if something works at one place, if your buddy got a job over here because they did it this way, but Raytheon says to do it a different way, or vice versa, you know, swim with the stream. Don't try to swim against the stream. That was something that you wanted to bring up a little bit too, Josh, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Each company has different hiring practices, and each recruiting team, each recruiter reads a resume differently than each other. So that spend time reading that job description, looking at the job requirements, tailoring your resume towards that job requisition. For instance, if you know that it says in the requisition, it says it's a top secret full scope poly clearance required on day one, and you don't have that, don't apply for it. You know, if you have an 80% solution to what they're looking for the job, for the skill set, I encourage you to apply for that role. But if you know that you don't qualify, don't just shotgun your resume and your applications out there. I just advise you to be very, very strategic in what you apply for and how you tailor that resume for that role.
Well, I think it's been a great conversation we've had today. For those of you who are with us, I appreciate everything. I will throw out there that, hey, ClearedJobs.Net, if you go to ClearedJobs.Net, we have a virtual job fair that's going on Wednesday, November 15th. Raytheon is going to be one of the companies that will be at that virtual job fair. I don't believe Lisa or Josh will be the recruiters that are there, but Raytheon as a company is there. They're looking for more folks, so you can get on ClearedJobs.net. You can make sure you join that virtual job fair, and certainly when you get there and you're looking for something to say in that little chat box, say, hey, I heard some great stuff about Raytheon from the people that were on the LinkedIn show just the other day. It's a huge company. They may or they may not know Josh or Lisa right off the top of their head, but it's a way that they say, now you've done something about Raytheon. That's a good connection to make with whichever recruiter you're going to be talking to. And again, Josh and Lisa are more than happy to hit you up. You know, we've tagged them in here on LinkedIn. Reach out to them, let them know what's going on, say hello, and every connection you make is a connection that you make it just expands. So it's been a great 30-minute conversation. Josh, Lisa, do you guys have anything else you want to say before we close it all down? Go ahead, Josh. You go first.
What I really encourage people, just, enjoy this process. I know it's hard, and I know it's scary, and I know it's challenging, but enjoy it and really embrace this transition, or even in getting this job search. It gets discouraging. You're going to hunt for hundreds of jobs. You're going to get a few amount of interviews. You're going to get the rejections, but overcome that. Focus on the fact that you're going to get the right job for you, and enjoy the process. It's stressful, but at the end of it, it's going to be really rewarding when you have a really great job.
All right, Lisa, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you for your service, and pay it forward after you get your job. Take those lessons learned to the next guy.
That's exactly right. All right, everybody. Well, thanks a lot. ClearedJobs.Net Military Monday for today's November the 13th. Thanks for the folks at Raytheon. Thanks, Joshua. Thanks, Lisa. We will see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.